I would like to acknowledge the partnership between the Connecticut Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation and the Connecticut Small Business Development Center. CCEI supports students, faculty, and alumni as they embark on their entrepreneurial journeys. We offer 18 different programs to support entrepreneurs in every stage of their business. Whether the support comes in the form of venture building, experiential learning, connectivity, or teaching and research, CCEI is always prepared to guide the next generation of entrepreneurs. Now, Greg Lewis from the SBDC will say a few words about the Connecticut Small Business Development Center.
Good afternoon, everyone. In essence, what I'd like to say about the SBDC is that, especially with the assistance of the students that we had from Verge this year and in previous years, we're able to offer small businesses in Connecticut a variety of assistance and skill sets that otherwise would be just completely unavailable to them. We are extremely grateful to CCEI for their partnership in this program, because again, we're now able to offer a level of assistance to our clients that allows them to grow and thrive in a very competitive marketplace, particularly given the current economic circumstances in the world. We're very grateful that they're able to grow their businesses including internationally, in ways that we as advisors just can't provide the one-on-one attention that they need. The Verge students are able to step in and give them much more concentrated effort, which makes a huge difference in their businesses. What the SBDC does is via the Small Business Administration, the SBA, which is one of our two primary funders, the other being Connecticut's Department of Economic and Community Development, is give us the funding to give basic support to our clients. But this next level assistance that the Verge students are able to provide is, again, as I've said repeatedly now, a huge plus. So again, we're very grateful to CCEI for their partnership in this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. To briefly describe what the Verge Consulting program consists of, it is a 10-week intensive program. This year's application pool had over 100 applicants, and these 8 consultants were chosen to work with over 25 different businesses across multiple industries and various business cycles. The consultants not only learn from these companies, but also from each other. And here is the 2022 Verge Consulting cohort. Perenay, the floor is yours whenever you're ready to share.
Thank you, Michaela. I'll be sharing my screen now. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so before I start, I think before the ending only, we would like to thank you first, and thanks to Michaela, Joe, and Greg for all the help that you've done for us. Like, we've been there from the start. We were very clueless in the beginning what being a consultant is like, or what, because most of us, though we have work experience, we don't have first-hand consulting experience. So we thought it would be a very tough ride given the number of companies we saw firsthand. So I'll take you through. And we would really like to thank SBDC for their support and contribution for everything. Yeah, so today's overview we'll be talking about the different aspects which we worked on, the different kinds of places where we help the clients with, the startups with. And yeah, this is our team, 8 of us. Two folks are full-time MBA students, 6 of us are in the business analytics program. And there were 25 plus companies in the beginning. The different sectors we worked on: medical devices, education, retail, textile industries. And our mode was hybrid, where we could go to the office and work directly at least once a week, or maybe alternate weeks. And yeah, I'll take you to the next part. So this is the timeline for us. So initially we had 28 companies in hand and 8 of us. So we divided ourselves into team A, team B, team C, and team D. We thought we'll all of us will work with each one of us will get to work with everybody. But with suggestion from Michaela, we thought it doesn't make sense to keep changing or shifting people after 1 month or a sprint. For us, a sprint was 1 month. So given that we have about 10 weeks, we divided 5 weeks for the first set of companies and last 5 weeks for the next set of companies, where we had teams. We had team A, team B, where we had 4 people each. So depending on that, we started in a way where we touch base in the first week, getting to know the requirements of the client, having a small introductory meeting with them. What do they expect from us? What would their weekly schedule be like? And in the very next 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, we started having weekly presentations with all the clients. So it was like 15 companies at once every week. We were having a presentation, we were having client meetings with them. So 7 each. So say four of us were attending all the meetings with the seven companies. And in the same way, so most of us, we closed around more than half of the companies. Initially, we thought we'll be able to close all the 15 companies in a span of 5 weeks, which did not really happen because we planned for we didn't expect a huge flow of expectations at a point, but we were all able to close it until the end. So in the week 5, week 6, our final presentations were going on, where we showed client what all we could do for them and every expectation which we could meet for them. The biggest part of our learning through these 2 sprints was do not overpromise and underdeliver. Was the first thing we learned after the first 5 weeks, where we told the client that, yeah, we'll finish it in 5 weeks, but it was not very easy because that was the first thing we learned about consulting. Patience is important. And yeah, my fellow worker, Shubrita, will take it to the next part.
Yeah. So I guess I can take up marketing from here. So since I guess in Verge consulting engagement, I think this is the one particular segment where I guess we have learned the most, and I think this is also one of the section where we have basically explored the horizons of marketing sector itself. So coming to next slide, so we have tried to basically concretize our services and all the work we have done in marketing. And as I mentioned, the marketing has been the most extensive section we have worked on. So we have tried to bifurcate it into these 3 buckets primarily: market research, competitive analysis, and market testing. And again, while we are saying we are bifurcated, we have also realized that these things are so much intertwined with each other, and how they basically play a role for a small scale business is very eye-opening for us. Coming to next slide for the market research. So further, if we go down in market research, we would say that are the key areas in which we have supported these businesses. So first one is we have categorized as market mapping. Since so most of our customers were very new to the markets. They were very less, I would say, less aware about the market segment that they want to be in versus what they perceive they are in. So there was this particular gap where we help them to identify which market they are placed at in pricing, and basically to identify the needs and gaps in the particular market they can fill in. So giving you an arbitrary example on this. So suppose if there is one company who is selling ice creams. So in which particular segment do they feel they fit in? Are they fitting in the segment of food? Are they fitting in the segment of leisure, or are they fitting in the segment of entertainment? Would depend on where they are they are the place in the geography, and which particular customers are they targeting. We use all these approach to could define the market map for the clients. Then we also help them to have the intrinsic view of their own organizations. So this SWOT analysis approach really helped us to basically facilitate that whole learning process for the organization, where they also reflect into what are their strength and weaknesses, and match them with the extrinsic qualities of opportunities and set in the market, which basically also help them to also reach those opportunities with their strengths. Third section which we have put as market research is business strategy. So this is one of the examples where we have them to identify the whole business model canvas. We can move to the next slide. Yeah. So this is one of the examples we basically did for a client. So we basically facilitated this particular workshop for a particular client, where we try to concentrate their whole business plan in just one single frame, which is basically called business model canvas. For those of us who didn't know this before, and we also explored this tool during our journey, we basically concise the whole value proposition as the center of a business, and then we identify the customer segment, customer relationship we want to develop on the client side, and whatever the essential resources and activities we would need to deliver those values to the intending customer segment on the left hand side. And meanwhile, we also have to keep a keen eye on the expenditure, where we have to put our money, and the potential revenue streams. What are the areas through which we can pull in money to support this business growth sustainably? So this particular tool basically help not only us, but also the clients to structure their business plan and also pitch this plan. There are particular two clients who basically made this as part of their investment pitch decks for the investors as well. And the last section was basically social media marketing. If we move slightly back, one slide back. Yeah, and the last part was basically social media strategy. So since most of us are from analytics background, and we basically try to use this opportunity to make a data-driven decision making in social media, to be more specific, because right now the social media impacts local businesses to a great extent. So we basically identified all these platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we use Google Analytics and dashboard to define their social media strategy to reach out to more customers much more effectively, much more efficiently at a very less expense. And now I think I can give the stage to Janvi to talk about competitive analysis.
Hello, this is Jahnavi. So coming to our competitive analysis, so we have like almost every client requesting like how they want to know how their product stands out among the competitors. So we spend time identifying the competitors that are mostly closely related to the client products. And not just that, so we spend time in identifying the key parameters, be it like customer ratings, like financial data, or the social media presence of the competitors. So this analysis has really helped in many of our clients in coming up with a pricing strategy, because we have few clients where they were pricing their product very less when compared to the competitors. So for the competitive edge, they have to adjust their pricing. And also there are few other clients who had changed their business strategy, and also they have made some decisions based on this competitive analysis. And next comes market testing. So one of the tasks which our clients primarily wanted is to see how well their prototype would work on different marketing scenarios. So, and the client's target is to see what's the promising market area for his launch in next few months. So based on his request, we conducted like field testing on several population groups, like for example, be it groups from healthcare or transportation, etc. So our first criteria when we thought about before proceeding to the market field testing is to identify the need for this market testing. So on experimenting the product on ourselves, so we found there are some areas of improvement. So we thought like this field testing will not only provide his market area, but also serve as a good feedback on the product. So we brainstormed for the next couple of weeks in coming up with the target audience and identify the queries which we have to put in the Google Forms, which will serve the interest. So getting the target audience has been the most challenging and rewarding part of this experience. So we had visited like and consulted staff from hospitals and police departments like security force from Stamford, Hartford, and Baltimore region in getting the feedback from the product. And so this has taken place like for the 2-3 weeks. And after this rigorous testings, the results had really helped in identifying the target population, but also provide the feedback on the major flaws with the prototype. So our client, so one of the clients, so he has really liked our results, and he has saved a lot of money, because he was planning to like do a mass production of his prototypes. So he has to look into, like, he had went through and looked back through the designs and do some changes over there. So that was the outcome of this market testing. So next, Chirag would take over financial analytics part.
Thank you, Sai. Hello, everyone. So after this initial analysis and a lot of marketing stuff, and it was a wonderful experience with different demands from all the clients, we realized that, when we get the initial data, that 1/3 of the clients were interested in knowing the financials. And a lot of time this happens. There's business owners, they're pretty good at what they do. They know their product, they know their ideas, but when it comes to numbers, probably, they're not that good. And a lot of time, that's just a hard time. So fortunately, there were some clients who were very much interested to know about it. And both team, like team A and team B, both of us like worked on some of the clients. And there were many things we did, but this are like 4 primary things, which was common part for everybody. And we use tools provided by SBDC, thanks to Greg and Joe, that they provided us some of the research whenever we requested, and the tools. So we use the industry CFO to get the actual idea of that how that particular industry is doing, so we can talk with our client. And also we use the bottom line one for the financial projections. So this was the first part we did. We projected the profit and loss balance sheets and the cash flow statements, which was actually the foundation for a break-even analysis. And during the presentation, we realized that a couple of clients, they didn't understand it. And we had to explain them clearly that, hey, this is the minimum thing that you hit to have a break even. And a lot of time clients do this mistake. They don't realize that the time that they are putting, that also goes towards cost. And it was a fun part, a lot of time when they realize that, oh, I really need to raise price to achieve to this level. So there were very revealing facts during the break even. And sensitivity analysis was helpful, particularly for the new businesses. So we told them that, hopefully, when President Biden declared that we have no more now under COVID, the pandemic is over officially. But just in case if this type of situation comes up, you should know that this is a base scenario, these are optimal, and this just in worst case what could happen. And that would help them actually to have a pretty good cash reserves. Like I remember working in New York City back in 2009, 2010, when there was this big chaos. And actually, I was part of Baruch College, and John is just here. So he was a dean at that time at Baruch College when I was doing my MBA Finance. So pleasure to see you, John, here. But and that time I realized that even though some businesses, hey, John, so even though some businesses were like pretty well, they had some nice clients, governments and all, but even governments were running short of cash at that time. And so that was like, are you ready for that type of environment, like particularly at the time of COVID, that economy was closed? So that was a nice thing. Finally, we also pulled out some of the ratios like EBIT and EBITDA and the leverage ratios to just make them realize that where they stand. And here particularly the industry CFO was very, very useful. We were able to pull the 1 year and 3 year EBIT and EBITDA of the industry, and we could compare apple to apple, and we can share them that, hey, here you are, these are your projections, this is where you need to go, and these are the strategies that you can use. So this was kind of a completely integrative approach with the research, with the marketing and financial. Now what left is a very interesting part, that where they are in terms of analytics, where they are. So my colleague Ajinkya will talk about the data analytics part for the clients. Ajinkya, over to you.
Thank you, Chirag. Yes, so it was fun working with analytics for our clients. So the clients that we work for were spread across variety of sectors. So some of the clients for whom we leveraged analytics were into retail and wholesale sales of products. So for these clients, we performed data analysis across marketing, sales, and segmented the customers to improve the business. So our primary focus for our analysis was to focus on 3 verticals. First being user acquisition, second user retention, and third being sales. We primarily focused on acquisition because at times there is a cost that is associated with user acquisition through inorganic mediums such as digital marketing. So we analyzed the Facebook ads, Google ads, and identified the click-through rates, geographies from where we are getting the traffic, and the total spend that the clients were paying. Based on the analysis, we then made recommendations for improving the ads and choosing the geographies that best performed for us rather than going for all the geographies. So the insights that we provided on user acquisition were around what population to target, with social media to be used heavily. And we also helped them set up some Google Analytics account to track keywords for organic traffic on the platform. Next, we also worked on user retention, because as the customer is being acquired by paying some cost, it is important that we retain the customer in longer term. So we saw that for most of our clients, the traffic was coming from inorganic sources, that being said, which is our paid source. So to improve the user retention, we then suggested certain organic campaigns to potentially connect with the clients through emails, through messages, or to give them some personalized feel by promoting some discounts. To improve the sales, we studied the sales data that was given to us. And for one of the clients that we worked on, we were seeing that the client was doing everything so heavily. He was doing ads and he was seeing high engagement, but he was struggling with the sales. Now, to solve this problem, we did a couple of funnel analysis to see where exactly is the gap coming from the user end. We then later on studied their website as to see what roadblocks or where exactly we can improve. So we did some research on the UI UX side by seeing the sales data. And then later on, we suggested some recommendations to improve the website. So one of the clients that we were working with was into retail, and he was very quick with implementation of the site changes. So once the changes was done, he was really happy with it. And he let us know that once the changes were done, he was seeing higher traffic on the website. So that was one of the good things that we did to this program. Now I'll pass it on to Kashish.
Yeah, thanks, Ajinkya. So team, this is one of the experience which we would really like to highlight as well, because this particular experience involved learning not just for us, but also very much learning to the client as well. So in this particular case, we basically, since we are all graduate students in analytics, so there was at least one thing we need to do, which would highlight the analytics part of our work. So what we did in this particular case is basically when client needs to identify particular set of vendors across the whole New England, and there were multiple classification of the potential vendors we have defined across 4 areas, and then the client has to make decisions on which vendor or potential partner they can choose based on these total 5 variables: their geographic presence, category of the vendor, and the additional 3 filters right over here. So the client and also us were very confused initially that what do we exactly want, because there are so many permutations and combinations we can make with these 5 variables that we would have like tons of I would say there's thousands of options we had. So that's when we basically came up with this interactive dashboard. So unfortunately we can't show the dynamicity or the interactiveness of this dashboard right now to you, but this particular dashboard is in public domain only. So we basically by ourselves we collected this data set of potential vendors by ourselves. We did the whole candidate research and collected what individual data point annually initially, because this particular data was not available at any data library. So after collecting the database, we basically came up with this dashboard, where if the client wants to choose say vendors in just Connecticut, the client can just click on the Connecticut map on the first widget, and it will automatically filter out all the potential partners, and similarly with other parameters too. And in the end, the client would also have the contact number of the potential vendor on the screen as well in that table column. So once the client find a potential vendor, he or she can directly make a call to the potential vendor. So it basically helped them to reduce the processing time of this whole information from a few weeks to just a few minutes. So I think that was a very, I would say, impactful learning for not only for us, for the client as well, and client also it also is preparing to use interactive dashboards in their other business plans as well. Yeah. So now I would like to hand over to Paine to talk about the operations journey in Verge. Over to you, Paine.
Yeah. Hi guys. Thank you, Kashish. So apart from all the other things where we worked on, operations came out to us like a completely different part. Normally, we thought it would be a part of the business plan, which we were already working on for most of our clients, while helping them fine tune their already existing business plans, or helping them set up a business plan, including all the forecasting part, handling all their cash flow, checking everything for their analytics parts. And then that's where we planned, we helped with a few different aspects. And the first one was succession planning, where we identified challenges related to succession planning, where we helped the company set up a proper knowledge-based books or some decks where they could hold information for how they can transfer if one employee leaves them, because startups don't tend to have people very few people stay for a long time. So we help them plan who will take up the next part. If somebody leaves, who will be leading that part to help the knowledge transfer. And next was the inventory management, where we provide a strategy for automation of major operations. We analyze their inventory management issues, suggested strategies to optimize them, because a lot of these startups where they will few where they were into the printing press, and we help them with their overstock issues, helping them how to subdivide and manage their entire part. And then in the next part, we help with their work breakdown structure. So this was one place where we help a mental health tech startup operationalize their pilot project for by breaking down their project into minute tasks, defining them and identifying them by the required number of man hours they required for each of those tasks. So this startup wanted to do something, whatever their they wanted to show their prototypes information on LinkedIn. So we help them plan their entire part apart from their LinkedIn campaign, the marketing part, to helping them with the operations on how will they do the entire marketing part of their prototype launch. So that's where we pitched in, and we showed them how they can how they can meet the hospital folks, what they can do, how much manpower they need, what kind of IT structure they should set up. And for the other client, we while setting up their business plan, we set up an entire, so the plan for the client was for next year. So they wanted to launch out in 2023. So we had to give them a plan based on projected, like not accurate financial results, but projected results, where how much manpower they would need and how much would they have to spend if they are setting up a small scale or a big scale store. And the next part is the automation, where we help with the strategies for major day-to-day operation, where they had a certain amount of people to do certain things, and there's a clarity of role. So I can also say we kind of set up a RACI metrics for them. So who's responsible, who's accountable, who should they consult, and who should be informed when it comes to the operation parts. And yeah, I'll hand it over to Kashish for the next part. Kashish, are you there?
I can take it over.
Okay, sure. I'll take it.
Hi,
Thank you.
thanks, Parinay. So a couple of key takeaways for us, and this we wanted to especially talk about, keeping in mind the next cohort that comes in. We thought it would particularly be beneficial for them to, know what challenges we faced as a team, so that they can, drive right in. Because when we entered, we realized that it took us a while. It took us about a week to get a hang of things and try to figure out everything around us. So this is what we essentially will be talking about in the next 2 slides. So we try to exercise thinking out of the box, which means that it made us realize that there's no one size that fits all. For example, we worked with a clothing company, we worked with another store and jewelry company, which are so close, but and both of them wanted marketing advice, but the strategies that we suggested to both of them were tailored as per their the issues that they were facing, the challenges that they had been seeing at work. So we realized that there is no one solution that fits all of them, and each one of them is unique. Each problem is unique and needs to be addressed in a different way. It gave us a lot of exposure to different industry problems. Like I was saying, there was one which was a mental health tech startup, another one which was completely different. It was a clothing line as opposed to a food retail, someone in the food retail industry. So we tried to come up with solutions that were specific to each of their challenges, and not try to fit one challenge. Like, we obviously do learn from what we've done for one client, and we can always use that information and take that forward with the others. But then there's no one idea that really is works for everyone in general. And then also another thing that we faced was touching base with a couple of clients, which meant that initially we had to let go of about 2 clients because we weren't able to get in touch with them. Maybe what we could have done better over there was probably try and reach out to them way earlier at the very beginning, so that it would have probably given them more time to get back to us and let us know what their requirements were. Then we also did have some ideological conflicts with our own teammates and other clients, given that everyone comes from such a different background and everyone thinks that, you know, one idea is better than the other. So the challenge really is how do we really come to a conclusion and decide that one idea is better than the other and it would probably work better. So it takes a lot of teamwork, especially in the scenario that in which we were working. We were all working virtually and we were trying to collaborate in a healthy manner. Some of us were in Hartford, the others were in Stamford. So it was definitely a challenge for us to come together and work as a team. But luckily we all came from a place where we all wanted to work and solve issues for everyone, and we tried to, you know, we tried to resolve that through healthy collaboration and communication. And then another thing that we really learned during this entire process was to build relationships with entrepreneurs who have different mindsets. Like, for example, I was just talking about that what I think is the best solution may not be the best solution for someone else. So how do you relay this to them without sounding offensive, without you know, trying to say that, you know, your ideas are wrong and mine are right. So that's something that we really learned during this entire 2-month period as well. And finally, I think what we could have probably done better, or we could probably think of in the coming years, would be having some sort of sophisticated tools for analytics. Because when we were doing this, we realized that there are a lot of analytical tools out there which are specifically meant for, say, financial analytics, analysis, or predictive modeling, for example. But we were mostly sticking to Excel sheets. And I think it would have probably been more useful for us to have some more sophisticated tools in our basket. So yeah, these were the challenges that we were facing, and we did work through our problems to reach the optimum solution. But this is something that the next cohort could probably keep in mind when they dive into next year. So with that, I will hand it over to Chirag again to make the final conclusions.
All right. Thank you, Subrata. Right. So we have made a far away, and this is our last slide. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and for a nice attention. So this is some of the thoughts that, you know, of looking at all the challenges and the entire experience, we just thought that, hey, what could be some of the things that the next team probably look. I mean, Subrata just touched with a couple of things, but we realized that a lot of time, you know, we could leverage on each other's inherent strength. So example, when we had the field visit to the printers that Parina was talking about, and we realized such a mess, such a chaos it was. And it was not just a one person's job to handle such a operation, which is very tricky. And as a team, we could work out, we had so much of brainstorming and discussions that how can we go, you know, from something which is not automatic and something which is chaotic to a very systematic operation. And that's where we found so many different things. So it's really amazing. Even like coming into this program, I'm a finance guy. I had no idea about anything about Google Analytics, but while working in team, you know, while Ajinkya explained so many things, and I realized when he was talking with the client and giving the pitch, I realized that, this could be a decision point. So that was something very good. I think this is a great combination. And this, I made this point even during the interview that this is going to be a wonderful experience because everybody has the different strength. And when Subrata was talking about, we had these certain challenges that client kept on coming, after the deliverable that, hey, we want some more thing, we want some more thing. And that's why probably the project charter with a clear milestone is what we would recommend to the next teams. On behalf of like all of us, just a gentle request to Joe and team and the Verge team. If there are more companies, those who are more data centric, that would be great. Or at least like if they are not too much data centric, but if they are willing to share more data, like example, the company that I was talking about, we requested the inventory data. If they would have provided like this, the initial analysis, what we did is from looking at the everything and analysis from floor. But if they would have given all the entire inventory data, probably we would have got more insight. But when we asked, they said, hey, it's somewhere in the app. So that would be great. And that's how probably we'll be able to, leverage. And Subrata just mentioned that I wish we could have, used SAS for forecasting. That would have been probably helpful, a more sophisticated softwares. And the last thing probably for what we realize a lot of time that more engagement of student and consultant was required at certain point, because there were so many points where like some of us, we were just confused that, hey, client is trying to do this, we are trying to do this, and it's not going somewhere. And probably it was from the board side, but we would recommend to the next team to be more engaged with the senior consultant. So but being said all these things, this was such a wonderful experience. Like all of us had a great learning and we could provide value. So once again, thanks to the UConn School of Business, the Verge program and the CTSBDC and all of you to provide us such a wonderful opportunity. It was actually our privilege to work with small businesses and help them. And to be honest, like all of us were passionate about working with them. So that's what probably helped us. Thank you so much. And we are open for questions.
Please feel free to unmute and ask a question, or you can put your question in the chat, whichever you prefer.
So I guess my question would be, what motivated the students to decide that this was a good way to spend their time in growing and learning? What was it about this opportunity that reached out to them?
I can answer this question, and anyone can begin to join. So I think most of us had this discussion early in the program as well. And I think the one thing that harmonized among all of us is basically that all of us are learning the business skills over here in UConn, but I think this particular program, CCEI Verge, was the one which also helps us to use the business skill and also get a first-hand experience of the entrepreneurial capability as well, because these are the small scale businesses within US who are basically trying to mark their impact in the market. And we were kind of very I can say naive right now in terms of business expertise and knowledge in terms of consulting, because this is something that we are learning, and it's provided a very good platform for us to utilize that learning in real world with an entrepreneurial ability. I hope I answered your question, John.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Kashish. That was pretty good. And on top of that, I would just like to say one more thing. Like, as we already mentioned, that this was one of the best part was that we may have worked individually on different clients. Some of us had consulting experience, but where we work in like a team of 2 or 3 max, but this was something like a team of 8. So this was wonderful experience with team conflicts starting and so much of learning. Second and most crucial part probably was that we were able to make an impact, in this position whenever we recommend. And if you remember when Ajinkya mentioned that we suggested certain changes, the client did it, and immediately next week in the next meeting he said, "Oh wow, I see the impact. The traffic has increased." So that's great. And for that matter, it was for anything, whether it was market research or any of the advice, any of the strategy, competitive strategy. Like for that matter, one of our client, I don't want to give you a name, but Greg knows him. We help him actually in a wonderful way to figure out where he could go for funding, and in what category he should do, what strategy it should be there. And I attended after the program ended. He invited me to one of the presentation where he was talking with a design company, and I realized that he pretty much used the 50% of the presentation that we provided, and he actually gave credit to us that, hey, the Verge team did it, and this is what their findings were, and from that he built on. So that was actual value that we provided. That's really fantastic, and that client is very credit worthy. I cannot say his name, but it's a wonderful client. So that was a great thing. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Do we have any other questions?
I'll make something that's more of a comment than a question. I really get your point about having more clients who need assistance with analytics. And in thinking about that, I realized that what we've done over the past is typically a lot of the clients that you guys work with are my clients, and they tend to be more technical companies. They'll be med tech startups, fintech startups, all kinds of engineering firms, things like that. My colleagues don't necessarily have the same breadth of client that I do. And this year, what we wanted to do was, rather than have the preponderance come from me, we wanted to give the opportunity to my colleagues to have some of their clients involved. I see that we probably need to figure out a way to strike a better balance. So maybe more clients will be mine, but we'll still integrate more of my colleagues' clients, so that you have more clients who do need assistance with analytics, but you can also get exposure to other industries and other kinds of problems within those industries. So I'm taking that to heart, and it's something that we'll have to weigh internally at the SBDC, but we'll definitely address that.
Thank you, Greg.
Sure.
Okay, if there are no more questions, I would like to thank all of the Verge Consultants for all of their hard work this summer, as well as for presenting to us today. Thank you to the SBDC for your partnership, and thank you to everyone who joined the call this afternoon. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
very
you,
much, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well done, folks. Take care.
Thank you, John.
Great job.
Thank you.
That's what I was just going to say. That was great.
Thank you.
All right. Do you need anything as you wrap up? All right. Sounds good. Have a good afternoon.
Bye.